I was outside Sunday. Like I'm with the shade and I was even like,
Yeah. I'm gonna drive my car until that.
Got it. Yes. All right, your life. Okay. Okay. Being 7 o'clock and 9 August 2022. I'd like to open the meeting for the Bellingham Board of Health. Myself in for the chair, Vice Chair Trish LeClaire, Member Mike Hennessy, Health Agent Bruce Wilson, Minutes Clerk Laura Renaud, and Tobacco and Food Agent Robert Griffin. So first order of business is the public hearing on tobacco regulation to reaffirm the amendment. So since the public hearing, I will read the amendment, and then what we'll do is we'll give anybody who wants to comment about the amendment and accidentally or got eliminated from our 2020 regulation. So the amendment was that the Board of Health would restrict any, eliminate, basically it was several things. It fell under the tobacco permit because that's where most adult owned or convenience stores and tobacco permits were selling other things other than tobacco. It also included things on no smoking within certain distances and no roll facilities, no hookah bars. But the bottom thing that got eliminated was to eliminate the sale of any synthetic or organic mind-altering substance, i.e. we put down botanical incense, synthetic marijuana, and there were several other chemical compounds coming from the state of California that ended up in Massachusetts businesses that were deemed by the police department, detective division, and the Board of Health to be mind-altering substances. So that's the regulation amendment part of the regulation that was eliminated in 2020 when we did a review of the regulation and changed the regulation to include no sales to people under 21, and there were flavors were going, everything the state of Massachusetts implemented at the Department of Public Health or in other branches, we as the Board of Health and most Board of Health in the state of Massachusetts have to re-adopt the regulation. So you change the age, you change anything that's saleable prior to that date, it was no longer saleable. So between that time of 2013, October to be exact, we started reviewing this in June of 2013, but we passed it on the second meeting, I think, of October. This would have been well before the legalization of recreation on medical marijuana. So the effect of this being eliminated, if it was, not known, would be that someone could say, well, if I can get it across town meeting, then I can sell any type of marijuana or anything else. And my comment was you can't, because the Board of Health took care of that back in 2013. And we were not clairvoyant. We did not know what was going to happen in 2019. Which could predict the future, but it can't. Anyway, that said, I'll open it up to anybody who wants to comment. But the chief would be here.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah,
Oh,
Chief
no.
Daigle. Thank you. Okay, so anybody here want to comment on,
Yeah, I first have a question. My name's Al Rodriguez, General Manager of the Smoke News.
Okay.
I would like to know what scientific proof or investigation was done by you guys to deem these things mind altering
Well,
or
okay. In the case of the synthetic marijuana, botanical incense, and I don't remember what the other 2 or 3 chemicals,
so yes.
they were coming in here. First of all, people were buying like 4,000 to 5,000 packages of these things. And I guess you'd say if they were selling just 18-year-olds, maybe that was okay, but it was not okay because these people were then getting into cars, I mean, I guess possession that way and enter a car, you're driving under the influence, but I don't know. We decided at this level, you know, the town's police department's being nice, say, listen, we just need to get rid of this stuff. So for them to go to town meeting, to try to pass a regulation to reduce this stuff, we already have permits for these establishments under tobacco. So I said, no problem, we will adopt a regulation. Back in June of that year, we did look at some study, like, first of all, we wanted to know what this incense was and stuff, because, you know, it's sort of like, you think like it's smoke. And, you know, you might say, well, it's like huffing smoke or huffing an organic vapor, you'll get high. It wasn't this, we don't know what it was. There was some long chain chemical in there. And the other stuff that was like, looked like a sugar straw of the old days. I'm old, so you snap it off and it was just simply glucose. But people getting hyperglycemic, it is a kind of a rush to your body, you know, changes a lot of normal body systems. You know, your insulin's got to kick in. Prior to that, it does affect the mind, affects vision. You know, that's not good if you're operating machinery. You know?
Yeah, no, 100%.
So that said, you know, all we did was try to investigate where it was coming from, what it was in it. I mean, I think we tried to get material safety data sheets, but a lot of the stuff was not coming from, it wasn't coming from, I'll call it a pharmacy. It wasn't coming from a person who made GNC vitamins. It was not coming from establishments that were, I call legal. It was coming from labs that were producing stuff that hadn't hit the radar. It wasn't meth. It wasn't LSD. It wasn't amphetamine. It wasn't other chemicals that are illegal that people manufactured. But this was something new, and it was coming out of the state of California. It was rampant. And one vendor in our town, you know, has 4 towns in Massachusetts other than Bellingham, and one in Woonsocket. He had thousands, you know. So the nice people we are, Board of Health in those days, we said, we'll give you 2 weeks to get rid of it. I suggested he just move it to Woonsocket or to his other stores, but our tobacco agent was a tobacco agent for 5 of the 6 towns. As far as, well, she lives in southern Massachusetts. So she took care of Fall River, Attleboro, North Attleboro, Plainville, Bellingham, and 2 other towns. And this guy had 5 stores. I think 5 in Massachusetts, counting Bellingham. So 4 other than Bellingham and 1 in Woonsocket. So I said, move it around. They're probably not going to get it. Anyway, the rest of the board members, I can honestly say, said they didn't want to give them a day. Just throw it away. You know, I just figured, you know, we could bankrupt them maybe. I don't know. So we gave them 2 weeks to get rid of it. At that point, any possession of that, you know, the police department or the Board of Health would handle it. We'd suspend his permit, and he did have other stuff that was deemed to be, but again, we're a pretty nice town. If you don't put it out in front to display, he said it was tobacco pipes. Looked like drug paraphernalia to the tobacco agent. It looked like drug paraphernalia to anybody. But, you know, our police department, credit to them, they just said, you put it in the back. If someone asks if you have different smoking things, fine. Because he had them listed as smoking pipes, you know, whatever. Anyway, that said, we resolved it from June to September or October 21st. So I don't know, I think town meeting was probably November in those days. Whatever, either way, we didn't go to town meeting because there was no point in doing it that way. I think it would have passed. There certainly would have been input from the police department, input from Board of Health, and input from other community representatives like the clergy and stuff like that. I think that's one of the reasons why marijuana recreational not wanted, you know. But you know, it's like we already have a problem with alcohol. We've had a problem with alcohol since 1920. Prior to 2019, all of the accidents that were related to under the influence were rarely prescription drugs that say do not operate machinery. You know, someone says, I got to take this because whatever. It was always alcohol. I can say in the last 3 years, my property's been hit 7 times. One was the person worked 2 shifts, didn't sleep properly. He got tired, crashed in the wall. 3 were alcohol, and the last 3, you know, you read the police report. They don't have a breathalyzer for that. But, they chose to just say, whatever, a couple of people left the scene, so you can just charge them leaving the scene of accident, whatever. But they all went to court and they all lost their license, even two of them, which I said, they made restitution, whatever. But, the courts are fine. They asked the landowner, I'm sure they probably asked the input from the police department. I don't know. But in that case, I don't want to see it now. I don't have any more kids. In the old days, it was children playing out front, people drinking every day of the week, mainly the week. So, we're having accidents now, and a lot of it's drug, right? So we, how do I say it, get a $35,000 analyzer. And for some reason, unlike alcohol, they request you take a breathalyzer or sobriety test. You don't do it, you lose your license automatically. With the drug person, they have to get a search warrant for your urine or your blood. So, we need, I know we have them because the military had them and we used them for different compounds. And THC happens to fall into a range of compounds that, a lot of the chemicals that the military look at are in that range for safety and for use. So, marijuana to me, is just sort of included in this, but it's not the only thing.
So answering your question, so in 2013, the chief had come to us, to the board, and he had said that there was, substances that some of the stores were carrying that were mind altering, and not mind altering like you feel a little buzzed or something, like people were going crazy. It was kind of the same time as the bath salts.
Yeah.
So he came into us and he brought it to our attention. And so with that, we decided to adopt that rec because it made sense. And plus our tobacco agent at the time, she knew what was out there, what was dangerous, what kids were looking for. It's not really adults, it's kids that are looking for that high, and at the time they were able to get it at 18, now they can't. But so she had also known of certain chemicals. It was like,
I can't remember the name.
it was some look like herb, and it said on the package you
Yeah, it
can't
said herb.
smoke it, but they were smoking it. So she would keep us updated with that, when she did her inspection, she'd say, this you can't have.
In her background, she was a former Food and Drug Administration agent for Bristol County, Southern Rhode Island, and another part of Southeastern. So she knew this area, and food and drug stays up on everything. That's the other. So at the last meeting, when we decided to postpone this amendment, Selectman Martinez was here, Dennis Rain and Larry were here, and the comment was, and I agree, we'll pass this regulation, this amendment, reaffirm the amendment. We're not passing, it's not a new amendment. We're reaffirming it. But I agree, the board will sit down and highlight psychotropic drugs, drugs that come from a pharmacy. Anything that comes from a pharmacy has to have a registered pharmacist. It has to be food and drug prepared. It has to be U.S. Pharmacopoeia. It has to be the National Foundation on, stuff that's we call herbal, medical, whatever. And it has to come from a script from a doctor. But medical marijuana, just because they don't want to get sued, they cannot give a script. They violate their script license, they would go to jail. They would lose their license. So they write a recommendation. The only reason why they write the recommendation is you can't get into someone's mind. If I come in and say, oh, my brain's hurting me, I got anxiety, I can't sleep, they just write the recommendation. Now, I don't know if this disappeared, but back in this town when it first started, we had people here that needed 6 plants that met their own marijuana. They registered with the police department and the board of health. And then somebody down in South Bellingham decided, hey, I'm going to get into, I don't know, raising tons of plants. And obviously at that point it's all that trafficking. But the location was originally given a medical license for 6 plants. When I went in there was 30, and there was more junk, and the place was not suitable. It was living where it was growing. It was a former auto body shop. So that's not, it didn't meet the minimum housing standard. It didn't meet cleanliness. The bathroom was something like a stall that you wash your hands in the toilet, but no bathroom facility. So whatever. So I don't know, since the medical marijuana is now in the recreation, if you need permission from your police department, or if you can't get it, you have to go to a dispensary now to get your medical. Great. Now, instead of it being a lot cheaper, you have to pay through the nose to get your medical marijuana. And to me, if it's truly medical marijuana and you're not going just for the THC in it, then if marijuana is that good, then get the marijuana with less than 0.03 of cannabidiol, and then you can drink it, you can massage it on you. If it's truly the marijuana plant or the hemp plant that's doing the good, I have no problem with it. Matter of fact, I was thinking to myself, I said, I probably would have no problem if there was a dispensary where the maximum limit on the THC was 0.03. I would have no problem with that. And there would be nobody going there because they're only going there for the high, And as a former military person that did testing with the military during the 70s, when we tested hundreds of drugs, we wanted to see what the effect was on soldiers. We wanted to see what the effect on their ability to operate, given their set of rules to follow, and marijuana was one of them. THC was, it didn't take much to get somebody, let's say, not being able to visual and
Gotta take a breath.
okay.
Sorry. I think the question is,
Yeah.
I think the question is with regard to the regulation that you're proposing.
Right.
Is it something that's enforceable? Is it clear enough as far as what the items are? I mean, you got an opinion from town council.
Correct.
that
Yes, and
basically is saying that
I
what you
sort
have
of
is
agree with that we have to
unenforceable.
modify.
So you have town council here tonight, I think,
Okay,
right?
right.
So did you hear from town council yet?
I didn't see the letter from, I think it was Adam.
It was addressed to you, actually got it
I got it
personally, 2
Yeah.
months ago.
about 2 months.
So that's
ago.
why I was
I
surprised
did,
when you
and
were saying that.
it
you
was
didn't- you didn't
capricious
know
and,
what the-
whatever the other term was,
Yeah.
that a court would probably not uphold it. And I said,
Well, no, it was more than that. I mean, town council's here,
Okay.
maybe she can offer her opinion
Okay.
relative to her opinion concerning
Yeah.
this regulation. Since you asked her to be here.
correct, yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. I am cautious about waiving attorney-client privileged communications because this is a public hearing and I did issue a confidential opinion
Okay.
to the board and members. I will say that, when a court is reviewing a Board of Health regulation, boards of health, in my opinion, are entitled significant deference in issuing public health regulations because you are local experts in your field. The standard of review for courts when they look at a regulation that has been challenged is whether it's arbitrary, capricious, or exceeds your lawful authority as a board. So that generally is the standard that a court would look at if there were a challenge to a regulation, be it the regulation that you're considering today or any other regulation issued by the board, and also whether it was properly promulgated, right? I would say that the more specific a regulation is, the less likely that you would get a challenge that it is arbitrary or that someone can't understand what is actually enforceable under the regulation. So to the extent that you can include definitions in your regulations, that is always something that we tend to recommend. So I know the term is mind-altering substances. If you could provide a definition to that and list the substances that the board is proposing to ban, I think that would be better than leaving it a bit more vague.
So relative to THC or marijuana, whether it's dispensaries, Bellingham is a no dispensary town. Would the Board of Health's regulation, if it were to ban marijuana, whether medical or recreational, for a dispensary, would that regulation trump the town voting in favor of allowing dispensaries?
Is that a question for town council?
Yep.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, good.
So it would be a case of first impression. I am not aware of any other Board of Health that has banned the sale of marijuana in the state. So we don't have any clear precedent on this. What we do have is case law on tobacco, and in my opinion, it would likely be treated similar to tobacco.
Yeah, I think the point is, this is Dennis Frayne speaking. I think the point is, if you're gonna pass a regulation and expect your health agent to enforce it or Robbie to enforce it, it needs to be something that's legally enforceable. And I think taking the time to make sure that you do identify specifically what it is that you're banning, what you're calling mind altering, is very important, because, you know, I don't know how you're going to interpret that. Right.
Well, it originally in the regulation, the original regulation, which was on the tobacco regulation, this amendment did include sale of synthetic or organic mind altering, because there were other chemicals that were being sold that were organic in nature. So they came from plant or other types of things. Botanical incense was the main one we're after, and synthetic marijuana. However, as I just said earlier, is when I got the thing from town council and got some other opinions from other people, I said, well, you know what, I got to be clear. Now, I'm not going to list every drug, but I'm going to list them by classification. So my comment was, my thought was, I'm going to get a pharmacist and an MD to give me classes of drugs. I could probably do it on myself, but I'd rather have someone, you know, who has the license to say, just classify these medicines. And the fact is, they're coming from.
But if they're a prescribed medicine.
That's right. So I'm saying, someone could say that that's mind altering, like Selectman Martinez said. And I'm saying, those are allowed, they're legal. We would never, ever go to CVS and say, from this date on, because we would have did that.
Your list will be much shorter if you just identify the things that aren't allowed, and then Robbie can go in and say,
Fine.
they're selling synthetic marijuana, we don't allow that.
Right,
in town of Bellingham.
And that's how it was before.
I think that's what it's gonna be.
The same thought here is,
So
this was passed in 2013. The reason why I want to put the amendment back in is because in 2019, marijuana came in. I don't think I'll make it, but every 2 years, they will be coming to town meeting. And until it changes, you know, what do they need, a 2/3 vote or just simple majority?
But I don't think what you're hearing is that your regulation isn't going to try to be treated the same way as tobacco. Just
Not if I amplify it such. I will add in with synthetic marijuana. I didn't, you know, at one point I might say medical.
So
I
you're
might
going to take away from the people's right to vote whether or not they want something that's legally allowed in the state of Massachusetts through regulation. I think it's somewhat of an overreach. I think that's the point.
I don't know.
Bellingham
Town council,
voted-
would that be considered,
Can
how
I
do I
speak
say
to
it?
a little bit? I mean, I asked a question and it didn't even seem to have an answer.
Okay.
Literally, we're like kind of doing a big circle around
Okay.
it. The most important thing is everything you covered doesn't even exist barely anymore. You can't really find those incense anymore.
Okay.
You're talking about spice, K2, all that stuff, gone. Bye, see you later. The problem that I'm seeing is there's stuff like Delta 8, that if it is gotten from reputable companies, it is good.
And legal.
CBD, it is legal. 2014, 2018
Right.
farm bills, federally legal.
Right,
Now-
CBD, we never touched. because
Hold on, but just let me speak for a
Right,
minute, please.
sorry.
Delta 8, I've been told by you that it cannot be sold, that you guys don't want it. That is so much less than anything marijuana you can get as far as feeling wise. Most of the customers that come in to get CBD or Delta 8 are you guys' age, with all due respect. We get no young kids to come into our place.
Veterans,
Now,
very
Delta 8 has
little.
how much THC?
it all has to be within point.
Within .03.
Okay, we never, I told Selectman Martinez the same thing. There were 7 things sent by the Department of Public Health in the state of Massachusetts to boards of health. The 7 criteria, because most of the cannabidiols probably come from hemp, not exactly marijuana. However, all of it had to be under .03.
We need to know exactly what.
And what I'm saying is, I don't think anybody in the police department, anybody in the board of health is gonna say, we told them we left of the 6 parameters that were, everybody can comply with. The 7th was, had to be grown in Massachusetts and processed in Massachusetts. We don't have the climate for it. So we just said, you know what, we're not enforcing the one thing that would knock out cannabidiol. We're not doing that.
That was
So-
the marijuana law.
No, that was,
Marijuana.
What
It
I'd
has
like
to
to
be
do is,
grown and from
no,
seed
even the,
to
even the.
sale,
the
all
hemp
in
stuff.
marijuana.
Either way, that said, the Board of
Okay.
Health said we're not touching. You get a license, whatever it is, tobacco or food, whatever it is. If it's food in or in smoke, then if it's under 0.03 or 0.03 and below, I don't care. It's not mind altering. It only can help you with, he says back pain. Other people say like, I don't know if it helps arthritis, whatever, everybody's got that.
I think I'd like to hear from the chief
Yeah,
with an
okay.
update
Okay.
on what he sees out there and what,
And whether he thinks
What
Delta
he
8 is a
thinks.
problem.
yeah, he's
I don't-
concerned about.
It's protected under the Farm Bill. It's the health law.
Okay,
Hold on, I want to hear how it's a problem.
Chief, you're on.
Okay. I came into this meeting tonight with very little information as to what was going on. I've got something from Laura from the Board of Health about what the proposals were for tonight as far as basically putting stuff into a bylaw and then taking stuff out later. And I'm listening to the conversations and it sounds like we're going around a little bit of a circle here. Believe me, Mr. Griffin, excellent to work with. When we talk about all these levels and everything we're seeing out there, we need people like him for their expert opinions. My guys aren't trained in a lot of this stuff. All we know is people abuse everything from alcohol to Tylenol, you name it, whether it's legit or not, people abuse it. And our job in terms of public safety is to go out there and make sure we take them off the streets or we do what we have to do to get them help. If we're going to be sitting here tonight and we're going to talk about amending bylaws and putting more restrictions on things, I'm all in favor of it, believe me, if it enhances public safety. It seems to me like we're basically spinning around in circles here because there's a lot of things that we just don't have a finger on yet. We are seeing different things out there, like you said, the Delta 8, but are we overwhelmed? I don't believe so, not yet. I mean, we're working at it. We're sending guys to what they call DRE school, drug recognition experts. There's a lot of stuff here that's all come about with the marijuana laws that we never dealt with before. Basically possession, driving under the influence, stuff like that was pretty straightforward. We're getting into a lot of territory now where we need to work really hard in conjunction with our Board of Health and especially our tobacco agent. So I'm basically just learning a lot of stuff tonight about what this meeting is all about. I didn't want to come in last week blind, not having any information. I've been given some information today by Laura, had a brief discussion with Bruce, our health agent. I'm not going to say that, ban everything, because basically we'd be going around forever, like I'm listening to your conversation. But if there's some things that we feel that need to put restrictions on, then let's work on it. But I think we need to do a lot more homework on this. I think we need to, do a lot more research and get some more opinions on this before we dive in.
That's the chief. That's good. Chief, have you had communications with the Hopedale chief or the Franklin chief regarding the impacts the dispensaries have on their communities? I
haven't really asked. I mean, but offhand, from the chiefs I've talked to, I don't really think the impact's been that bad. You know what I mean? I think they've been doing really well. I think, even with our grow facilities, we've had some good meetings with the people involved. I think it's been going fairly well. And I bet you if I called those chiefs, I wouldn't get, we have bums hanging around, we have exchanges in parking lots, stuff like that we were all afraid of when it first came about. But I would bet the feedback wouldn't be that negative at this time.
Thank you.
So, Chief, would you say that, like I said, I wanted to put this amendment back in because of the fact that it was in 2013. And as I would say, I probably asked the board as well that we also further define mind altering as town council recommends, and then further list the things we're trying to eliminate, even if incense or spice, that was it, the other one, are no
Yeah, I
longer.
mean,
Yeah.
They can
too.
come back,
That was
and that's the problem. Things, once no
Right.
one's looking, and someone
Right.
says, well, I'm gonna
Right.
send this back in.
And and I understand the intent of all this, but I think town council is crucial in which way we go. As far as, what, like you said, what products we can, go for and what we can do. I think that's crucial, what I mean? So I think you need to do a little bit more research in this before, I don't know, from what I'm reading, if you just throw this stuff back in, then some of it's gonna have to be taken out. And to me, it's kind of going around in circles, biting our tail here. So we need some more specifics and we need to narrow this down a little better.
Okay, so you would say, leave it off until we close the hearing and not vote on it, and then come back.
Well, that's up to the
refine it.
board. Yeah, I mean, that's up to the board, but
Okay.
I would think town council's
Town
opinion would be
council.
crucial.
To help us specify, but
Okay.
I feel like you're focusing a lot on marijuana.
Right.
I'm not focusing on
That's fine.
marijuana.
That's fine. Okay,
I'm focusing on what the original problem was.
correct. Okay,
And just putting that original problem back into the right,
I,
okay.
without even thinking about marijuana. at
Fine.
all.
I think.
Just leave it the way it's stated.
I think if we cross
And then-
over into the marijuana side of it, we're gonna put ourselves in a pickle, because it's legal in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Right.
I mean, not for nothing, Vinny, I work in a community that has 5 of them.
Yeah.
There's 5 dispensaries in the community I work in, and the taxpayers don't see it directly on their property tax, but they see it in the services that respond to their calls. They see it with the highway department, they see it with the fire department, they see it with the police department. I mean, I'm gonna go on the record saying, I support it. I support having one, because I see it 5 days a week. The benefits of it, it doesn't increase the crime, it doesn't, you're not gonna have fragrance. I mean, you were mentioning that there was an accident in town because somebody was driving through town. What's to say that they weren't driving from Blackstone? What's to say they weren't driving from
That's right.
Franklin
Right.
or Hopedale that has them?
Correct.
I mean, I think the community itself is losing money. We're losing out on an opportunity, that something that's perfectly legal, that it's been governed. I mean, our state reps on the Cannabis Control Commission.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I know in
again, I mean,
other states.
Yeah.
Especially when it was legal in Colorado years and years ago in a few other states. Now, again, reflecting on what the chief probably of that Colorado Springs or a few other cities within other states. There was a police car there. 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. They would take shifts. I think they were just looking to see someone open the bag. And boom, you nail it. But I don't know, they did that for like 10 years. Now I was there for a long time. But people would just simply, I figured they got extra officers and they said, well, he's crime prevention and driving drugged is just as bad as driving drunk. Not worse.
We abut the safest community in the United States of America, and they have 4 dispensaries.
Again, I mean, I'm
I
not
think,
here to talk about marijuana.
I
was just here
agree.
to talk
Is
about-
Kratom one of them that also you guys have an issue with? Because that's one that I've heard floated around
What
as
is that?
well. Kratom.
Chief, you know anything about that one?
Kratom,
I think under the current definition.
I couldn't hear what he was saying.
Kratom, it's like C-A-R-D-U-M,
K-R-A-T-O-M.
C-A-R-A-T-O-M,
K-R-A.
K-A-R-T-O-M.
It's an
No.
terrible.
I-
I mean,
I remember having that once or twice, but it's not something that I've really done research on. No.
Well, veterans use it, a lot of them. It's one of the biggest things that they use for PTSD,
Yeah,
pain
well,
relief, all kinds of things.
and a lot of stores sell it.
it doesn't have marijuana, THC in it.
No.
Okay. So it's probably why, people using it get the benefit of it without getting high. That's my big thing, I'm trying to say, you shouldn't be driving drunk and you shouldn't be driving drunk. And as far as I'm concerned, it's like, I know we have more package stores than our population allows, but we have, that's it. But then we just have to depend on the police to rein them in when they can't take it from their car into their house before they open it. And they can't go back out until they're sober the next morning. That's fine, but a lot of people don't do it. Larry, sorry.
Mr. Chairman, you mentioned earlier that you were gonna use the word highlights things, and then you're talking about defining and being more specific, which I agree. absolutely.
Not tonight though, but,
No,
obviously
no, I
town council
understand
says I should do that.
And those are, those are the inclusions that we're gonna include this.
Right,
this group of substances.
Mhm.
I would like to see from a professional clinical point of view, excluding prescription drugs. because there are so many that can be defined as minor.
Right, no, that would be an automatic, as I was saying. I can't think of any, it's on the bottle, it says do not operate machinery or drive. And then a slew of other things, you know. I wouldn't even go there, because all pharmacies are regulated federally, pharmacologically. You know, you have to, it's not easy to be a pharmacist, it's not easy to be a doctor, you know, whatever. And those skilled professionals, you know, even the psychiatrists who prescribe drugs, one can say they never really can get into your mind. All the other things physicians do and pharmacists do, producing this drug or this chemical to give you, they actually know all the target part of it and exactly what it's going to do. That's why you get a thing that says it may cause this. It may, some things that, you know, good for
But
arthritis may
that's, but
kill you.
that's not gonna be carried in a, in a
That would never be
convenience
put in
store
here.
anyway.
Exemption.
We're looking at like the
That's
hookah
the
bars,
right.
you're looking at the stuff that's sold at the gas stations.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
we're
We're
not
looking at
doing
stuff
it
right now that's sold.
pharmacy
Right.
stuff.
So
People
I
are
just-
taking
What
from
it is that the wording that it exists in what you read tonight.
Right.
Talks about mind-altering drugs, it doesn't classify them in any
Correct. We
way.
have to classify that,
And
but
it
as
doesn't
Trish said,
say those that are sold, you know, in a pharmacy. So therefore, it, to me, wide open that they could be included, and if somebody decides they want to include them, they could.
right, but if you
You know what I
can
mean?
take mind altering and add maybe 5 categories or 4 categories. I think the town council, you said that, is it, or somebody said, we should include what's allowed or not allowed. No, not allowed. Allowed is gonna be anything else we say that's not allowed. So I'm leaving prescription stuff away, I'm leaving cannabidiol away. Because there's really no mind altering that stuff.
You
Whatever.
talked about,
There's only benefits to that.
you talked about, what's the
D8, Delta 8,
Yeah,
Delta
the
10.
The only thing that's in that, it sounds like, is THC at the level that's allowed. by
Correct,
law.
yeah. See, I wasn't
So
sure
that-
about
would
Delta
that
8,
have-
whether it was,
Robbie, would that be allowed or not allowed?
it would be allowed, as long as someone doesn't take Delta 8 and enhance it above 0.03.
But that's the law. The law doesn't allow that. So regardless of your regulation, that would be illegal.
No, it would be illegal.
No, it would be, if it was enhanced and it was more than.
Oh, yeah,
whatever
yes,
that
it was
level of
enhanced, it would be
THC is
illegal.
allowed, regardless of your
Currently, right
regulation,
now-
it would be illegal.
What Delta 8, you know, unlike Delta 9, which is the THCs,
Yeah.
in any, pretty much up to like, I think 9.5%. I'm not sure how high. I do know that stuff is definitely mind altering and definitely is not allowed by our law.
What is that?
That's the regular THC, the Delta. The Delta 8, though, if it's 0.03 or below. you're right.
Delta 9 comes from the actual marijuana plant
Okay,
itself.
sorry.
Delta 8 is derived from hemp.
So Delta 9, you'd have to go to.
Delta 9 is
Dispensary,
in hemp
yes.
as well, but
Correct.
below the legal limit.
It's below legal limit, so,
So legally, it's allowed.
right.
Yeah, and on the
It's a
farm bill,
milder
federal-
baby version. Not
Right.
everyone wants the strong version.
Correct.
A lot of older people come in, honestly, and they're like, we do not. They're like, we went to the dispensary and that
It's too
was
strong for us.
unbelievable. They're
Yeah.
like, that was ridiculous. We were like, didn't know what to do.
Right.
We help them and they're like, this is great.
I'm gonna assume now if you go to dispensary, because I'm sure it's what, one purchase, $40, but you got, I heard thousands of choices. I don't know. I'm never gonna go in. I don't care. But the question is it higher? The higher the THC, so like alcohol, if you buy pure alcohol versus beer, 5.2,
Goes up to
Yes.
20, 30%.
20,
Okay.
30,
you pay more if it's got a higher content.
not necessarily. Not necessarily. It's a pretty fairly same price
Is it really?
range in the dispensaries, because it
Okay,
doesn't
so you
cost you
get it
any more to
cheaper.
grow it. Growing it is growing it, whether you grow a plant with high THC, an indica sativa, you're still growing a plant. It's all the same processes. Some might want a little more different nutrients than another one,
Right.
but it's the same lighting, same amount of electricity.
Yeah,
So
what I'm
it's-
saying is you categorize them in the product you sell, whatever they call it, by the amount of THC.
No,
No?
no, you categorize them by their strain, which would sativa.
You spend more
indica,
time
hybrid, just
Cooking
those
this
three.
plant, making this plant, you have to charge more. Or
No,
processing.
no such thing really like that.
All right. anyway.
So I think before, when, you know, this became an issue with the synthetic marijuana, I mean, people really couldn't get easier access to marijuana, so they
Correct.
were just buying stuff that
Yeah, somebody,
Yeah,
And
that
someone
spice in
whipped out.
K2 was a nightmare. That, we
And-
will agree. That
And
was-
so that's, I think that's why this even got brought up. And
Right.
now it sounds like things are more regulated.
Yes.
And, I mean, maybe it's not, like synthetic marijuana, maybe that's not even an issue anymore. I don't know, but
You walk into a dispensary, you have to give your ID card, they have to scan your card. It's like walking into a pharmacy.
Right.
And
but that's to make sure you can't go buy another purchase anything else that day. I believe it's $40. Very.
No.
No, I've
absolutely
taken,
not.
I've taken the veterans I've worked with there, I've literally given them rides. And
They can keep purchasing. I
Yeah,
thought-
they,
but-
they have, they have ice cream. I mean,
Okay.
you can buy numerous, you can buy the gummies, you can buy the vapes, you can buy the buds, you can buy anything. And I just, some of them, you make the purchase and you go over and it's like a pharmacy counter and they put it in a bag for you, they seal it, they staple it. You're on your way out.
so
They're all
Robbie,
like
do
that,
you usually
actually,
get
yeah.
updates on, what to look for, what shouldn't be sold?
We will periodically get updates on certain products that basically get flagged by the state. So
Okay.
for instance, what you had mentioned earlier about Delta 8, where this is a very new thing, I mean, K2 and all those, popped up and went away very quickly. But with marijuana only being legal for a few years, I think people are still trying to figure out everything. So the regulations are catching up to where they need to be, but not where they need to be yet. So we'll get things like Delta 8, where they'll say that originally there was a chance that it might not be deemed legal to be sold or actually considered a controlled substance because of the way it's derived. When I understand anything that's naturally, might not have the word correctly, it's naturally occurring and naturally produced, whereas they were saying that because it was a combination of like hemp products that were used to create it,
Mhm.
that it was considered a controlled substance. So we'll get a newsletter saying, look out for this. This is not allowed. And then a week later, we'll get another one that says, scratch that. So it's.
Well, because someone might have thought it was above 0.03. and
Well, no,
all of a
because of
sudden-
the extraction process
extraction
is what he's saying. Now, but through the extraction process, the state of Massachusetts is violating federal law, no matter what, because no matter if it's THC, Delta 8, Delta 10, there's an extraction process to remove that from the plant. You can't just eat the plant and get, there has to be extracted from the plant. You see, so it's, no matter what, the feds
they
are
were
wrong,
right
the
because-
state's wrong, and because what they're talking about is when you manufacture drugs, they're considered class A drugs, is what it all comes down to. Meth, you make crack, it's you're doing it, you're cooking it, you're making it. Same thing is what they at one point used to consider dabs, diamonds, pure oil marijuana
Okay.
that people smoke now, the strongest concentrated form of it. But that's the only way to extract it is unless you smoke it. There's no other way to get everything you need from the marijuana plant unless you extract it from it, except for by smoking it, which then you're smoking all the THC, which is, unless you're smoking hemp, which is CBD, and that's under the 0.03. But that's the problem is everything has to be extracted from the plant.
So maybe we have to just word it differently,
Correct.
not even just say, no mind altering substances, but more under the state guidelines, because stuff keeps changing all the
Right,
time.
yeah.
And we even write down the state data that I presented to you guys, what the
Right.
state gave us.
I mean, it changes
You know,
all the
is-
time.
But if you think
And
about
we
it,
try
though,
to follow, what the state,
CBD
is
isn't mind
doing.
altering, so that's a perfect way of classifying. We just have to define mind altering, as town council can help us with that, as to,
but it should be more under.
we have synthetic and
state
organic, so I mean, organic is from plants. Synthetic, you cooked it in a laboratory. There was no plant involved at all. There might have been plant material. It's the chemicals of it. It's like taking chlorophyll out of the plant, which
Maybe you
is.
can help us with recording that too, with our, because you do all that on that end, you see everything.
And then
They
these
send you
two,
updates, we don't get those.
Yeah.
So we don't really know how it works.
and Rob, even though there were 4 or 5 items, we only put these 2 because these were the predominant things that everybody that was adult only at that time, well, not adult, everybody who was selling tobacco was trying to sell this other stuff.
Yeah.
It was, I told you, like 3,000 to 4,000 products in one store, 5 or 6 in another. And, then they were saying, oh, we can't do that. It's the same thing as telling someone, I thought the skull was, what do you call it? Cat food. You know, someone, you know, so, yeah, the chewing tobacco, because it's a little container, it looks like, anyway. So someone tried to come in and get their license back, because they said it wasn't an offense.
So do you think that that makes sense?
I think that makes sense. Let's just put it in and then we, or not.
No, I wouldn't put it in
I wouldn't
there.
put it.
Okay, fine,
I
okay,
think we need
okay.
to,
Okay. Okay,
I
so-
can work with the state to try to generate a list of things that have seen, and we can do more research on. You know, what's more prominent now. And,
So-
you know, we can name specifically the products that we've used in the past, so. we don't worry about those coming back up.
Ron's been able to communicate, I know, with town council, so, you know, he's on ground zero. I just want to make sure that whatever we adopt is something that we can enforce, and it's not something that is subject to interpretation from one day to the next. And it
Right,
sounds like you're on the same page.
Okay.
They're like intentional, you know,
Okay.
following state guidelines, you know, because the guidelines are gonna be forever changing, do all the time.
But I guess the
it
only
probably
other thing
already
I'd have to
says that
say
in
is
there
that
though. to
if
the
we
bylaw.
chose, depends what, right, we're gonna have to vote. this.
Yeah, we have to vote.
But the bottom is, would we include, synthetic and then marijuana? And then, you know,
I say we just, I mean, I think it'd be the following state guidelines.
Okay.
Whatever the state says we go with.
Okay, so,
It probably says that already in our rights too.
so motion to close. it.
Well, we're not gonna close it yet, right?
Okay.
Well, we,
Well,
I don't know.
if we're not gonna put the
Because-
amendment in, what else are we gonna do? We can get more discussion.
right,
You said put it in. I don't know. I was gonna go with that and then modify, minor altering and add criteria for compounds.
Would you then take marijuana out of there as well?
well, marijuana's not in there.
Well, right now synthetic is in there. I
It
don't know.
just
Oh,
says
yeah,
synthetic marijuana,
And
which,
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but.
It's illegal throughout the country.
Yeah,
It's
synthetic.
federally illegal
The
too.
synthetics were gone in 2013.
Right, but it's.
Well,
so if they probably disappeared like shortly after we did this. then,
Yes.
Because.
Right, but it also says organic. You know, it's the synthetic with the.
Organic.
I don't know what that.
All-
Organic.
But it's like i.e. synthetic marijuana, but synthetic is illegal, but organic.
Right, synthetic was probably, I don't know, that might have an organic twist. The organic might have been something I threw in there because I said, yeah, anything that derived from a plant.
Well, this was pre the legalization, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
But that's what my thought was. If this is in place in 2013 and it got eliminated in 2020, it goes back in, we have to qualify it. It does have an effect on the ability to sell marijuana. And I don't consider that violating state law. You can make laws stricter than the state, stricter than the feds. You cannot make them less, which is in some cases what some things we look at. That's not, you can't make it less than the state law.
Is it that, I mean, but is that, I just wanna make comment. It seems like, it's not necessarily you guys' fault. Some things have been before and everything. Certain businesses, you guys just make it, and like, there's one thing after the other. We've been here 3 times in a year and a half for meetings. It seems like it's just one thing after the other. Some of these small businesses do no harm. We actually do well. We're giving services. I mean, how much hard time do some of these massive buildings get that are causing all this nightmare and trucks and traffic? And it just seems like you guys make it hard as
Can
a
you give
town
me an
sometimes.
example of what we made
Well,
hard?
I
It's like
mean,
the vaping
vape-
thing that we
the-
just did.
correct, that
we
was
followed the
overturned.
state. We followed the state.
Right, we had no
guidelines for
choice.
that.
It did take a long time for you guys to get around to it again. though.
Well, once someone came in like you guys and
Yeah.
said, hey.
No
you
one
know,
comes in,
it's-
we're not gonna be
The
aware of
state
this
changed
problem.
it. Can you guys change it? What did we do? We
It just
changed
took
it.
several months to
So-
implement. It was it cost us thousands of dollars every time we have to dodge products that we sell that we feel we are responsibly selling.
But
And
we
that-
typically try to follow the state guidelines.
Right.
That's what
So
we
the
do.
state said
We-
the only thing allowed now, I believe, some, feds are going after Jewel, but they put it on postponement now. Because they were against even tobacco flavor. I'm saying, well, if you sell tobacco products, it's tobacco flavored, I guess, unless it's menthol, which you can't sell anymore. So, just crazy. what I'm saying is, when we said, we heard from you, it did take a while because we had other issues on our agenda, like donation bins, livestock. So whenever it was, we have other major problems that sometimes, you come in and they'll say, okay, yeah, we'll do that. As soon as like Robbie researches and said, yeah, we could do that. The fact that we're one of 3 towns, I kind of said like, this could be, we're the only town. I don't know, someone had to be first.
Spencer would do
And
good.
and by the way, it only takes one person to, sort of mess things up for everybody, if you want to call it. But the board doing it is doing it for public health. The boards that do other laws or commissions, I don't know, I assume they're doing it. I'm hoping they're not only doing it for business, because it should not be business at all costs,
So I mean, we can close the hearing if you want, but I would say that Robbie and town council sit down and figure out what the proper wording would be in there. And if you want to go, Vinny, you can too, but.
But I don't know, would you say, I would define mine alternate, I wouldn't. Kind of,
Well, that's something you can
Yeah,
talk to
it's
them.
something that we have to
and-
find
and
clear enough.
the clear point brought up, and I'm gonna say like, listen. Alcohol's mine alternate, I won't say it isn't. However, we've had that problem since the marijuana law passed. We had that problem for 99 years. When we passed this law, we only had it for 93 years. It's grandfathered. This is not the 2019 ruling. I don't care if it was 52 to 46 in Bellingham. It just, we didn't have enough people. Everything's a vote, people don't like the way things go. So anyway, this would cover that as saying it's not allowed. Whatever.
This would cover what?
This would say that if you had a dispensary,
Like Trish is
Yes.
disagreeing with you.
Okay,
and
no,
Michael
okay.
is too. So I
Okay.
think you're a lone ranger. on
Okay,
that.
fine.
Yeah, you
So,
are, Vinny.
you are.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Just keep going back to it.
okay,
We
Yeah.
can sit down with council.
Okay.
We get it, you're in that marijuana. We get it.
Yes.
Sometimes you gotta confirm, sometimes
Well,
like
hey.
everybody else, sometimes, It's not that bad.
I'm probably not anti-marijuana. I just say, if you get the marijuana with no THC, I'm for it.
Well, that's it.
And medical marijuana, I probably say, hopefully you're doing that, how do I say it? And I don't know. I think the
Tough
recreational person, I don't trust. I hope the person that needs it medically is doing it in their house and just going to sleep, whatever.
Okay, well, I don't want to talk about marijuana
Okay.
at all
Okay.
anymore,
Okay.
because that's not what we're here for.
Okay, fine. Okay,
So let's set something up with town council,
Okay.
sit down, figure out what the exact wording is
Okay.
to make it a little bit more specific, and that's not so broad, and then,
We're gonna
That's it.
close the
We're
table
gonna
or what? What's
close it.
yeah, so we can close it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if I may, the board might want to just continue the
Okay.
public hearing if there's going to be further discussion about any proposed amendments at another
Okay.
meeting. If you have a date and time for your next meeting, this way you don't have to renotice the public hearing if you want to
Okay,
have
right.
further
Thank
discussion.
you. Okay, so can I have a motion to continue? Second,
Second that.
all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, you have to continue to a specific date and time.
Oh, okay.
We need a couple, we need.
We
some
need
kind
more
of
than
You
one.
want to
notice.
do the September meeting?
Yeah, okay.
Let's do the end of September.
Yeah, so Laura, what's the meeting for the end of September?
I get it right here.
We have it.
We get 6 and then 20.
Yeah,
Okay,
motion to continue to September 20th.
okay.
I second that.
Okay, all those in favor,
Aye.
say aye. Aye, opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, so the motion passes and will continue to September 20th. At that time, myself, Robbie, will meet with you and produce language that's defensible.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, did you say at 6 PM? Did you give a specific?
No, I said we were continuing it until
September 20th.
September 20th
At 7 o'clock.
at 7 o'clock. And then Robbie and I will get in touch with you and get the language worked out. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. Have a good evening, everyone.
You
Thank
too.
you for coming.
Okay. Okay, so,
Do you want to take,
yeah, let's move up. I guess it's on the new business, but, or
I had it under.
health agent
and
report,
updates.
so updates. Okay, so let's move discussion on 150 South Main Street on the septic loan program and issue between the owner and installer. So, all of you guys have any info? You,
On,
Mike,
on
on
the-
150 South Main, do you know what happened?
I saw the emails and I saw the pictures.
is that, what, no, I don't know.
It's a corner of Man Street and right across from Shawnee's. That property has a septic loan. And Masha and Environmental is doing the install, the repair, whatever you want to call it. And the homeowner and his wife. and
Oh, it's my daughter.
Your daughter, okay, his daughter,
My mom is on
Okay.
Kim's iPad.
contracted with Mr. Marsh and last fall, is that close enough? And between the trees getting removed and then a few other things going on, I think before he got on the septic loan program, his came before us and then got postponed because on the application, I believe he didn't have a 1040. And there was some tax due.
Yeah, and
Something like that.
we.
So
we
I don't
resolved
know
all
if he
that.
started work. That was my question that came up after.
No, we resolved all that and then he continued work.
Okay, fine. So, but when did the loan actually start? Was when he started?
We
or-
started over a year ago.
Okay,
This
fine.
has been going on for
Okay,
over a
fine.
year.
So the loan was approved by us
Yeah,
a year ago. So in that time frame, the trees got cut. I don't know. if the
Yeah,
wood
the trees
Stayed
got
there for a
cut.
while. The tank got put in.
yes,
Then there was a plumbing issue,
yeah,
more than just a pipe going from the inside, which still requires a plumb. There was more plumbing inside to be done. That was paid for by you.
yes.
whatever. And then I think prior to him coming back, he had to redo the, what's it called, dig site. And then someone in another town, his friend, called, what's it, Blackstone Valley Gas and said, there's a line there. Well, it happens to be in Man Street, right?
Yeah,
It's,
no, no.
was it go to your
gas-
property?
A gas line?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was on, no, South Main Street. It's
Okay.
coming, the line is coming from South Main Street
To your property.
to my property.
Okay,
It's in the front. It's got nothing to do with the back.
Correct. But either way, the
Yeah.
dig safe people said, hey, you can't do this until, so it's a Thursday afternoon, whatever it is. I don't know how far back that was. But then he had to wait all the way till Monday or Tuesday because they need 72 hours to prove it. And they do not include weekends. So let's say Tuesday could have started. Then something else happened, that I'm not sure. I think he got another job that he had to take the machine. So he removed the machine.
Yeah.
And then the machine came back and we're trying to catch up. But then at one point, someone called and said, hey, that, his licenses weren't renewed or his insurance, whatever. So we put a hold on it until he got all the stuff done that he needed to do. Prior to that, he was there Monday and then had to cease. And then I think he came back Wednesday and then the issue became, we don't want you to do it anymore. So, and then the Board of Health got involved. And the contract, I believe, on the septic loan program was for 35K. Right,
Oh, and that's.
Okay.
Okay. yeah, okay, so, okay, 32K. Either way, some monies are owed Mr. Marchand, and if we break this agreement, someone else has to come in and do it for no more than 32, because we don't extend contracts. So I said, we're playing marriage counsel, or as we call it, mediation. And the thought is, we get Mike to give us a timeline and have him go down there and start it, and don't stop unless there's weather or supply issues. Get it finished. Because I don't think, based on, he's gonna tell us what's owed, we'll have enough money for another contractor to come in. I haven't surveyed them, but I don't know if that's our job to go, like Bruce can go and call, or you can call somebody else and say, I got this much left on the loan. Do we want to split it? Then we need a copy of their insurance. We should already have it. If they're local, we'll already have it.
So I
Um,
think, can I just say something
go.
else, sorry? So I think the
issue that my parents are having is they are very concerned about the email that they received from your town.
Okay,
So, and from Laura, I have the email,
okay,
saying that he was deceitful. There were allegations of him being deceitful in his paperwork. So, I have the email right here that she sent my mom. So I think, I mean, any consumer would be very concerned when you receive an email like that. So that's why they were concerned about moving forward.
was that about the insurance or the license?
She wasn't specific, I can.
Laura,
give you the
for-
email.
Just because I want to clarify this so everybody knows what's going on. The email that went out, was that out on that Monday when we told him to cease until we got Bruce to review all the paperwork? Is that what that was?
You muted.
That is correct.
Okay, so that was true, that there were some things that he hadn't renewed and whatever. He didn't need workman's comp because it's him, so he's owner operated, but he needs to fill out the form saying, I don't have to have workman's comp. The insurance and the licenses he renewed, you know, I don't know. People sometimes miss things, so I don't know, I don't want to call that deceitful. What happened was the town didn't get their monies when it was due. A lot of people do that in this town, you know, especially after the pandemic, but you know, that's no excuse. He got it resolved, you know. I think he owed excise, you know, I don't want to.
The thing is, if we go to another contractor, we pay him what's owed, what is left. What if the other contractor says I can't do it for that?
Right,
price?
then you have to come to the board and ask the board, and we already said to a few other people, which I'm gonna play the Kelly, when she was on the board, and she was more the finance person. The money part of the septic loan, you know, we added 1040s because people were, how do I say it? We added restrictions. You can't tear up the whole driveway. You can't replace an 8x8 shed with an 8x20.
Yeah.
People were adding things to the
Yeah,
septic
yeah.
loan program, driving the cost up.
Yeah,
And we only get so many systems out of 300,000. If they were all 30, we get 10 systems.
Yeah.
Our idea is to get the most systems
mhm,
out of our 300K every year.
mhm.
You know?
Yeah, just there's like
So-
heavy concern.
So what
about
I'm saying is,
moving
I think, you know, if we can hone this in
Yeah.
and, you know, get him to agree to dates
Yeah,
and finish it, it'll be done for that cost. Anything else,
yeah,
you're totally correct. I can tell you right now.
yeah,
If you call other installers in this town or in another town like Blackstone, I don't think they'll do it for the balance. They'll say, no. Some may even say, well, why'd you hire him? Whatever, you know, it's because 3 names were given to you, you picked, you know, the name that, you know,
Yeah.
probably gave you the best price. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Mr. Marshall.
Deceitful is a really strong word, especially after I've been around this area my whole life. So
Right.
I have. a
Well,
real-
that's why I asked. It
I
was
have a real
because,
problem with that, because I've been nothing but very kind to them. I have thousands of dollars in the yard. I had thousands of dollars before I even had the contract with the betterment program, okay? I've worked with them. I've given them lawnmowers to fix for himself, that from other people that we would do some recycling. I brought them over to them. We had other issues in that neighborhood. The people next door ran a very, very tight lot there. We're up against, we pull a stump out, we pulled up some of the guys next door's grass. I mean, because they're long roots for a maple tree. You had 3 huge trees.
Yeah.
So we had to stop, we had to talk to the neighbor to make sure there wasn't gonna be a lawsuit. I mean, these are all the things we encountered on this job. Not to mention a shed that he has, it's huge, almost the size of a garage. It has to be emptied out, moved. So all these things have been in play and no one's even talking about those issues, you know?
Right.
We did switch insurance companies halfway through the year this year. I provided, the first of the year, I provided everything that they needed online. I was
He
issued a
did.
permit.
I asked for things and he sent them right over, so.
I brought them down.
Yep.
I didn't know how to upload them. I'm
Well,
not very computer guy.
that was the other reason that when we got an alert, whatever, it went to Bruce. And he asked me, you know, because, you know, usually the chair gets the odd calls. Anyway, or the nasty ones, you know. I said, well, we're not suspending it, because if you have to stop people's paperwork all over again, it's a disaster. You know, we could say, you got to test, or you got to show us 3 other towns. I'm not doing it. I said to Bruce, just put a temporary hold, contact him, tell him what you need. And as soon as he get it, we just simply said, the office will hold everything. You can't do anything till you get this done. The minute it was done, he's back to normal. And, you know, I'm not gonna
So how
care what some other
much
towns say.
work is left to
Just
be
a leach
done?
field, but I mean, it's, we talked to the neighbor, we got them on board now, because he
Yeah,
had
how long ago was
surveyed.
that? That was last summer.
No, it was not last summer,
How-
sir.
when was
I've been
Tell
over
me,
there.
tell me when it
you-
was then.
2 months ago,
3 months ago?
2 or
Okay.
3 months ago, and
All right,
I
3
wanted
months
to
ago.
talk with the neighbor, he had.
Still,
it
3 months
surveyed.
ago.
Yeah, but it's 3 months ago, it's very crucial when you're working on somebody else's property to get permission. You know, I don't know if
You
they
talked to
live
the
there.
guy, I think you're talking to the guy. You
I did talk to the guy,
All
yeah,
right, what did he say? He said it was okay?
it
or-
was okay.
Well,
Yeah.
that was the same day. That was 3 months ago, you said. This has been going on for, I've been calling you and you say, you give me excuses for everything that goes on. Ah, my machine's broke, I gotta get this, I'm sick, I'm this, that.
It was-
One thing after another,
it was-
for a year and a half now. A year
Okay.
and 4 months.
And you're out, how much money? How much money am I out?
Well, whose fault is that?
That's-
You do
that's-
the
you
work, they'll
didn't-
give you the money.
You signed the contract.
I
You
did
didn't
sign a
have the money.
contract, I know what I signed, but
I would
do the
like,
work and they'll give you the
Okay.
money. You're waiting on the money.
I'm not
Okay.
arguing this.
Okay, we have to bring this back to order. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's, I don't know, you guys weigh in. Do we
So,
have Mr. Marchand produce a time frame and adhere to it? And then the owners will get this up.
So can I just say something real quick?
Yes.
Like my parents didn't call him deceitful is what they received from the town. So that's
Okay.
how it's. very
Well, I would have
concerned.
probably not used that word. I would have
That's
probably
fine,
said
But that's
he
what
lacked
they were,
insurance and a license.
that's fine, but that's not what
renewal.
was said. And
I don't
then
know,
you should,
okay.
the yard is in disarray for a very long
Right,
time.
yep.
And it's dirt.
Yeah.
It's all dirt. It's not safe. And I understand like things happen and, I mean, I feel like they've been very patient. It's just been a long process and it's causing a lot of stress, especially when you receive something from a town that's supposed to support you, this is where you live. And they're saying, we're not sure about this situation. It just made my parents very concerned. So.
I didn't
you know,
see the
My wife-
email. I think that we should see that email.
We should have said.
So if.
I
you
had
could-
it.
Okay, well, if you wanna just send it to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Board.
Yeah.
And then we have the
Mm,
pictures of how the yard's been.
Yeah, so.
And the
And,
truck
and
is,
and I've been paying out money, I think I shouldn't have been paying out. He asked for it, I gave it to him, I don't know, what he did with it, so, I don't know why.
What money did you pay me?
Well, I got it right here if
$1,000
you
in
want.
check.
Well,
My-
Cancel,
money
if you have
paid
canceled checks, that's, you know.
Was never, I didn't receive $1 on your job for your truck. The engineer
Well, the
was
thing is,
paid,
yeah.
I handled the engineer for you, which I didn't charge you for. I
what
paid
do you
them
mean they
direct.
charged me for? I gave you $3,000.
That went directly to the Colonial Engineering. There wasn't even enough, I covered over $100 of it, because you didn't make the check out for enough, and I said,
Okay,
I
no,
took.
but the
it.
colonial engineering bill is part of your septic loan program.
Okay, but I paid
But
out
he's
of
saying
cash.
But he paid it out of pocket.
He's saying he
I
paid
paid
it.
out of pocket.
They paid $5,000, almost
Almost.
$5,000
Okay.
with their own money from their checks, not from the loan from the
Yeah.
town. So I think that's another concern, because
Yeah.
when the town contacted my parents, they said, you're not supposed to pay anything out, that's why you have a loan.
Correct.
And they did. They gave a check to a plumber, they gave I'm not.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I want to explain that to you.
All right, go ahead.
He called me up and wanted me to come down to check out his system. It was a little, you wanted to update it and all that stuff. So I said, I will call Colonial if you want. I handled all of that. Every dollar he went to Colonial Engineering. They could produce all the documents. So he was short $100 of it. The plumber was not included in the contract, okay? This contract was signed well before I stuck my neck out to cut the trees because he didn't get approved yet. Remember that?
okay, but if that's the case now,
He did not get a.
But what, I had, the paperwork was in.
It was in, but they weren't approved, so I had already cut the trees down and it took care of them.
I don't
if you
know.
put trees in though,
I
they'll
do
get
know.
reimbursed.
This contract didn't include the internal problem.
Can I,
So his
So my-
estimate
Right,
is.
Can I
but
ask
all the
another
other
thing
stuff
real
that
quick?
they
I'm sorry.
We typically cover it. He had 32 and the plumbing work, Another 3 would have been 35.
35.
Paid out.
So it's only 32 excluding that plumbing?
Yeah.
Now what about the trees and what was the other thing you said, mentioned? The engineering.
The
The
engineering
engineering
wasn't
should definitely
included
be
either.
part of this.
That was
So,
not, he paid that separate, that was not
Yeah,
included. in the
oh, it was
contract.
not included.
Usually is engineering included in a contract? I thought it was.
Not,
It is,
not in this
but if it's
contract.
not put in the signing, it isn't included.
So may
this
I
is
ask a
32.
question?
Yeah.
Is there any way that I can get a copy of the contract? My parents don't have one.
We don't have anything.
I gave him a copy.
We-
Yeah,
I got,
Yeah.
Bruce
Yeah,
will,
yeah,
um.
that's fine.
I'd like
I have
to
nothing
see
to
it.
go
say.
ahead, copy.
well, they're gonna,
And just so you know, since we did this job, since we signed the contract, I don't know exactly the date on it. Everything's gone up 4 times. I did not raise anything. That's, I didn't raise a dollar.
if it
Because you
would have
didn't get
done,
approved till, you didn't get approved for months after. You're forgetting to talk about that situation.
yeah, and it was resolved within weeks.
No, it was not. It
Yeah,
was
because
months.
you told me, it says, pay the taxes and when we're ready. So I did, I paid the taxes and
No.
when we're ready to go.
It was not ready to go, because I didn't get
No, but the-
notified.
Well,
till
in other words,
March.
now I'm trying to.
I'm not trying to argue with you, I'm just telling you, I didn't get notified. And if I did, it might have been middle of winter, and then we weren't ready to start.
You know, we're gonna have to figure this out, because obviously, let me just see, well, he's copying, these are other.
So can you tell me when you could get the job done for them though?
You
Like,
start
I need
tomorrow.
a-
I
I
mean,
need
I
a-
was going back to start
And
until,
then we stopped,
until they started
we
me.
told them stop.
And I had an active, just so I want to make this on the record, I had an active license. I filled it out online, I provided everything. And all of a sudden, I get an email that says, you don't have a hydraulics license, you don't have insurance, you don't have this, this, and this. Well, I brought it all down, and then the only difference is that the insurance, all right, so when
Was
you
it
get a
different?
license in January or February, whenever you get a license for, septic installers, it runs a whole year. Sometimes you change insurance companies, we get a better rate from Insurance, we change insurance companies in July. That was the only difference.
So how
We
long would
never
it-
lapsed in coverage.
So if you go there, let's say tomorrow, how long would this job take to finish?
Probably a week. Yeah, I mean, a week,
are
as
you
long
guys
as
willing
long as
if
we have an
we-
issue with
I
the
mean, he's not
shed.
gonna get paid until the
Yeah.
job's done.
Right,
I know.
Because
it's
so I'd
just-
even
it
say,
is-
why don't we do it this way here? It's been 14 months. Let's make it 2 weeks just to be completed, because remember, weather may not go
We
up.
have to work on the shed issue, because if you see the plans, part of the system goes underneath the shed. The shed is humongous. And I haven't even, I don't know if we're gonna have to jack it up first, empty it out.
This
Okay,
thing
so
wants
just to
go out,
clarify,
sorry, go ahead.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
So
Yes,
how
I'm
are
sorry.
we gonna do that? Let me ask this question. Are you gonna roll this thing? I've done that before. You roll the whole thing. Does it have a foundation? or-
the thing is.
No,
I
no,
have-
it's on,
It's on black.
yeah,
Okay.
it's on block.
So you could take the block, hollow them out, put pipes, you know.
But have you seen the yard? I don't even, it's completely dug up. I don't even know.
Well, you could probably roll it into the driveway. Shed leads to the driveway, right?
Well,
It's completely torn
I don't
up.
know how it's
The
gonna do that.
shed's behind.
So Mike, are you gonna be able to level that off,
We
roll it out of there?
I have all the equipment to move the shed. If you have to probably empty it, I don't wanna destroy a shed, beautiful. it's a
Right,
nice
right,
shed.
okay.
I mean, we might have to put it on my ramp truck. I have a big giant forklift loader that can
Okay.
lift it up.
Or maybe inside,
But
brace it.
he has it stuffed with stuff. so
Okay, you
that's
gotta
part
empty
of
the
the
shed,
problem, you know what I mean?
So
I was hoping that maybe we could jack it up high enough to get, so we could get under it and then put it on blocks. I mean, it's really a job. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I
Yeah.
mean, there's been a lot of dilemmas in that whole situation, you know what I mean?
So you have the contract there now.
So
Yeah.
that's my question. So he said that the contract didn't include the engineering, but it's included in his contract.
Okay, so that means
And that
the
my parents
loan
pay.
program, instead of the engineering going to him to give to Colonial, that engineering 3,000, if it's 3,000, it's gonna go back to you
Okay,
from the loan.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
you're gonna pay, you already paid for it,
yeah,
so you might as well
subtract.
get the money back, you're still gonna pay.
I'm just concerned because he said it wasn't part of the contract, but I'm reading it right here.
No, what I'm saying is, okay, it is
In all
now.
fairness, this has been October 17th, and this is the first time I've had it. I just came back from Maine today, so
I know.
I
I just, you
can't-
know what
I-
I'm saying. I just
well,
want
if
to
it-
be,
if
I
it-
want everyone to be
I
clear.
just read it myself, so that would come back to you. That money would go back.
Yeah.
I'm just concerned because my parents, my mom is disabled.
Right.
And this has been really difficult on my mother.
Because once that money goes to you, you're paying it back on a 20-year thing.
I know, but they, you know, it just.
So
it's
you're
just
not
been-
losing
Because you
$3,000.
have
No,
to
no, we're
see,
not, yeah.
but you have to see the condition of the.
I have,
yard.
I go by there a lot.
Yeah, it's, and you
It's a
know,
little rough.
I work, he watches my baby, it's just, it's not safe for anybody to feel.
It's been like that for,
It's been like that for
I
quite
need
a
to
while.
talk.
what's that?
I'm on here. I'm the wife.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
All right. I've been listening to him. I have never met him at all. But now he's introducing the shed issue. From day one, he never mentioned the shed. That was my concern to my husband. And we were told that it will not be a problem because that's not where the leach field was going to be going. At the beginning, through all this, the process and the way he is speaking is not the scenario steps. When he came initially to come, we got him from the newspaper like a lot of people do. No names were given into the town to us. We asked him point blank how long the job would take, and he told us 2 weeks. Understandable. There were some issues along the way, but all that was taken care of. I don't know your platform of how things are run in the town, but we did everything that we were supposed to do. He told us in order for us to get started, we needed to write a check for $3,500, which I did. They came in and they did the perk testing and all that. They broke a pipe the first time that they were in our yard. That was taken care of. Then he came back and he told us that we needed to have the 3 trees taken down because originally we were told that the septic system was going to be put underneath our driveway. But now I guess through the engineer plans, that wasn't a safe or a logical idea. So he came in and removed those 3 trees last summer. We had the debris sitting in our yard all winter with the logs that he took down, plus the fireplace. My husband called him numerous amount of times to please come pick up the debris that was left in our yard, which was all winter. We were never told that he needed to go to talk to the neighbors and all that because of some litigation issues. That was never spoken to us at all. So, and nor was the oil tank, the gas line ever brought up by him as an attention to us. Never was I called, nothing. Nobody mentioned it. The town didn't mention any of that information to us. My husband called him numerous times. I am disabled. I'm in a walker and a wheelchair. If I ever, God forbid, had a fire in this house, there is no way I can get out that cellar door normally without either falling in the hole that he left us. It has been awful to deal with him. My husband has called him many times, and he's had one excuse after another. But he's never once mentioned the money situation. He knew all about the abatement that we applied for. And I paid for the plumber. It was never totally explained to us. And he also came back. But the thing is, I believe my husband gave him cash because I've looked through all my statements and all that. He's never once given me receipts for nothing. I've never gotten any written contract from him. He told us that he would go to, and I'm sorry, I'm so shook up. This has been a nightmare and something that was told to us that was only going to take 2 weeks. We lived through this all winter. That debris was in our yard. He said, my husband called him and he said, well, it'll cost you a lot more money if we come and we work in the winter. So I said, okay, give him the benefit of the doubt. Well, now the weather turns nice. I had to ask him to keep coming. He told us he was sick. He told us he had to come get his equipment because one of his cat machines was broken. So what does he do? He switches it out, but he keeps putting his machines in our yard. He would come put it in the yard and say, well, I'll be there Monday. Well, that Monday came and gone. That week came and gone. The next week came and gone, and he never showed up. Then my husband would call him, and it would be some other excuse. He never clearly stated any of the stuff to us that he is now telling you, the board. Never. That was never addressed to us. maybe the situation might have been a little different, because then maybe that would have been a big question mark in my head to now get a hold of the town. We took him as his honest word, but everything he's telling you is nothing he told to us. And if he talked to a gentleman, unfortunately, I didn't see that happen. The trees were already down. The fireplace was already down. Don't you think he should have been a tad worried about that before he even took it down? I don't even know if he had the proper license and the proper whatever to do that. This is my question of why. Why did it take so bloody long to do a project? And now he's left us in such a disarray. And mind you, any one of you sitting there would not want your home to look like that. We have an itty bitty yard. Yes, I understand that. But he was well aware of that when he came in and took the job. He knew that. So that is not a good excuse. I'm sorry. He should have said to me right away, you know, ma'am, or sir, I don't really think this is a job for us. It's a tight capacity, and move on. Never once. He took the job. So he was well aware, but that shed makes me furious because he never once mentioned that to my husband, that it need to be removed. That was my first question, because we use that for storage. And my husband said clearly, no, he indicated it will not need to be removed. He
Okay,
told
but
us,
let me ask you a question. Hold on.
yes,
Prior to that, it sounds like the engineer was putting it in one spot and another spot, which maybe the shed didn't have to get removed. But any discussions by an engineer, you
yes,
don't know where it's going until the engineer.
news. That doesn't, we've never gotten amended of anything. I still have the original paperwork that the engineer gave to us with no amendment whatsoever. It's just what he's been telling us, and we've gone along with what he is saying. And you know, we're not super confrontational people, but I'm in a situation that my hands are tied. I can't do anything. This has been a nightmare, and I apologize. This is why I was not
Mom,
here.
we're looking at the plans right
Okay,
now.
they're looking at the plans, Kim.
Just,
All right.
So here's what happened.
just remove to here.
The agent is
Leave
going
the shed in
to
place,
have it so he doesn't have to move the shed, which means is he can do it
'cause
quicker.
you still got.
We're going to eliminate a little piece of the field there.
Yeah,
More than likely,
no,
under
it
the
is
shed.
beautiful,
they're gonna take
but-
that top.
But it was mentioned because
Yeah.
take me out of the equation. The
No,
the
then-
engineer talked to him the day we did the perk test. I mean.
Yeah,
This is the stuff I've been going back and forth with him. I can't get an honest
Kim, wait a
answer.
minute.
Mom, they're
Mom,
looking at the
they're
plans.
looking at the plans, Kim. Let them look at the plans.
All right, all right.
I don't know. I mean, I
So
don't-
I would not take the soil out there
Yeah,
and move the shed. Leave it
Go
right
right to
where
it.
it is.
all right, well, that's not a decision I can make, you know what I mean? That's a decision.
Can we, we don't need.
But that's a decision you would have made if I didn't speak up. And then we would have had to pay for it. This is the stuff I mean. Honesty really has not been.
The three.
Yeah, no, I remember
the
trees.
trees. Something new for a second.
Wait a minute, Kim. Just hold up.
I'm sorry.
We're gonna, I know it's been a long time. We're gonna try to resolve this and he's gonna get it done 2 weeks or less. He will get it done.
Yeah, but he's torn up a sidewalk. I no longer have a sidewalk. I have 3 mature trees and now I have none. We're like in the steam bath over here. No fireplace. The yard is a mess. I want to know why though, that in the winter, he couldn't even come pick up the lumber and all the tree debris. What was his excuse? It had nothing to do with the cesspool, but he never came to pick it up. He allowed that junk to sit in our yard all winter till the spring.
Mom, they're
I
looking
get
at the plans right now.
Okay.
Okay, they're looking at the plans, Kim.
So that, I mean.
All right, then
that's-
that's fine, then that solves that, I mean, you know.
then he can
Oh,
get
yeah, that solves that. That's an easy thing. Yeah, I don't get it. But this is the stuff I've been putting up with and we have been putting up. If we hadn't been lied to over and over again, sickness, all the machinery's broken, all this, I can take 1 or 2, but this has been a year and 3 months. A year.
Okay.
I gave his money. to
Yeah,
him.
They're looking at the
Oh,
plan.
Kim,
I'm
Kim,
boiling.
look at the plans and see what happens. Let's see what happens and see if they can come within the budget.
So you paid the plumber 1640, 6/6/2022.
This is just nuts.
Was it
I sent an email today to Laura and broke it all down.
Yeah, I'm not responsible for the fund.
Trust me, I
No,
could've
what I'm
gone
saying
on
is,
and on.
the timeframe.
Mom.
That's what's going on.
I know.
So Trish, I mean, and Mike, do you agree that
Not the plan, the loan itself.
if we split, divorces, it's gonna be worse? I know Dave Brown, she and John
No, it has to be done.
will knock it in. Well, that's-
Awful.
I mean, maybe the complaint should get to us
Put
first.
it on.
We can't, do anything placed in the highway, nobody's support.
Mom, just mute yourself for
This
a
has to
moment.
be completed.
Right. I'd say 2 weeks.
I did, no worries.
What's the
And then
35?
I can.
That's the
On June,
engineering.
on June, the engineering on June 6,
Correct,
2021.
So the internal plumbing would have been an extra, Vinnie. It wouldn't have been in his contract, but it would have been covered with the loan.
Yeah, it would have been, yeah, but,
I mean, we just,
So that's
we end up,
that's the
you know,
right, but we didn't
The permits.
know
Yeah.
about it. Let's
Yeah.
say, 'cause-
you wouldn't know about it until the time we had to make the connections.
Correct.
Yeah, the pipe was very bad.
Yeah, but you don't wait till the connection's made to do this contract. You have to do it up
you know where
front.
it is,
So you have to have everything in front of you.
Yeah.
So maybe someone should set
in the hall.
1,000 for
Wait,
plumbing or 1,500 and then put it in. And if it was 16, he'd cover the 140, or the 100.
Well, I typically go to the house, but what happened was the pipe was all broken up, so, and he wanted to do some inside, so
Okay,
he could have a plumber from his license.
that was a cesspool. Rich?
The other thing,
Tweak it a little
tweak it
bit.
a little more,
Okay,
just to keep it away
Yeah,
from
well,
the.
alright, well, the Colonial was adamant about the shed, so just let it.
No, it's fine. I'll talk to Paul.
Alright, yeah,
Okay.
that's what the problem.
You can call,
I'll call Paul and
Call
tell him
Paul
we're
and
gonna
tell
push
him
the
that
trench weight in.
we're gonna be allowing the move. And when he does the as-built, not to say he's in violation.
Okay, yeah, that's the only thing I was concerned. Then we don't have to touch it more. The only thing I had with that was, I didn't shoot the elevation. That shed's a little low and may have to be jacked up. You know, for drain, for water runoff. That was the other thing.
Is that the way it is currently? Is your shed lower than the land?
It's.
Or is
The shed is, yeah, I think it is.
Yeah, that was why we were gonna have to jack it up
Yeah.
regardless.
Because once he top dressed the system,
We don't want the dirt
the
and
water
water
will
going
just
into
go right
the
into
shed.
the shed. So maybe you'll have to jack that up, put more blocks and whatever.
Yeah, we'll have Paul check the grades.
I mean, that's not the end of the world. but
What we're gonna allow him to
moving it
do
was
now
the
is-
worst.
Tweak it over a little. You'll have to let, Bruce will call,
The
Paul
engineer.
Colonial.
You guys don't have a problem going closer to the garage where it's a slip garage. Typically, he's got it at 12. I would say go to 8,
Good aid, yeah, that's
right? We did give waivers before,
right.
and then that gives you room to get some.
Yeah,
drainage
this
in
is a
there.
lot higher, plus there's no
Yeah.
foundation.
You just
Okay,
take,
good. Okay, yeah,
take the
that's fine.
trench and
I was gonna say, if there was a
Twist it a little
foundation, you put a
No.
barrier in it,
No.
but that's fine. No, that's fine.
No, it's actually a lot higher.
so take and twist it.
Twist it,
I
yeah.
just didn't want, it's being so close to the shed and
So
everything.
Bruce, going from 12 to 8,
the
will
grade
cover that
would've
4
went-
feet
the
under
water
the shed,
Went in the shed.
you think? What do you
I
want?
moved it
7?
4, and it's a 5-foot overdig, so the overdig is now just fixed.
Oh, okay.
Should be fine.
They should- Or
Like
go
I
to
said-
7.
Like
I
I
mean,
said,
what's
the
it-
only
you know,
difference is.
Go,
grade in the
go no
shed.
less than 5, right?
Yeah, no less than 5. Okay,
Well,
so you can tweak it
Okay.
as much as you can.
Can I get a picture of that?
Yeah.
They'll take this,
You can take it.
Have it?
I can print more.
Alright.
Right? It's fine.
So,
Yeah, but
I mean, we
I
just-
would
we
take a
didn't
picture of
put
it
it on-
now because you just did a little drawing on
right.
Yeah.
it. No, take a picture.
Just
So,
so you have it. Yeah.
So we see it.
So
It'll show up
I
on the
can't see
as
inside your
one of you
head.
guys will make a motion.
You
We'll
wouldn't
get
want
this thing done in 2 weeks or less. Maximum 2 weeks.
Can start tomorrow. I mean,
Yeah, that's fine. What I'm saying
It
is,
needs to
you
get
go
done
as
now.
fast as you
Yeah,
can,
no, yeah.
weather permitting, get it done.
Yeah.
But it cannot
Just
exceed.
take
2
a
weeks.
look at.
My question is, are we gonna stay within the budget?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
I have
absolutely.
not raised your price at all.
No.
I mean, I'm not raising
Well,
your price.
so we're gonna.
Well,
do-
you
That's one thing I always do.
mentioned the tree's gonna cost more, the removal of the trees gonna
That's
cost
in the
more.
contract.
It's already in
It's
there.
already
So,
in your
yeah,
contract.
so,
I think what they're concerned about, because in the contract, it doesn't really, I mean, the grass and the.
No, that's all
Right.
included.
well,
I
right
get
now,
that.
because of
Okay.
Bellingham,
It's
Gonna
just not
take and
very.
twist
it's
the
just
trench
not
away
very-
from it.
right now with the Bellingham
Yeah,
band,
you don't think
he
that
can
tank is a
loom it
little too
and
high?
seed it,
No.
seed will die.
No,
Yeah,
you
but
wouldn't,
can
you
see
wouldn't
that
have enough
concern.
drainage.
My
You
mother's like,
I know,
Really
I
upset.
understand.
had-
now.
You
it
wouldn't have
is,
had,
No,
the yard has
well,
been.
The
Okay,
tank
let's say
is
you
a
were
little
being
bit to
nice
this- to
and-
the- to
I
that.
know it is.
We
We're
would
gonna
have heard
to-
about
we're gonna
this
have to slope
before
it.
we have
We're
to
gonna
stop.
slope it.
they were being nice.
Because
They
that
were
We
pipe
nice.
could
gets
have
a certain amount of
resolved
pitch.
this
Yeah, but
maybe
if it
months
was
ago.
lower, you'd have.
But I think there was a chain of little things.
No, honestly, my father.
You gotta pitch on a
trustworthy,
pipe.
works for the town.
Yeah, but I have to
Right,
meet
yeah,
this
I know.
with this.
She's giving
This
lots
is-
of
Yes,
You know what I'm
he's
saying?
got, he's got to
This-
create,
this- This is all in conjunction, everything's,
he's got to be able to feed from here to here by gravity.
It's just a
yeah,
town
it's,
concern.
it's all,
And I think my
you know.
mom now is worried that,
All right, well,
I hope things are being accepted.
I don't know,
then
I don't
from
know,
the
you know,
town.
the thing is.
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know if my wife wants to stay with
Everything
you,
that-
or is it
when he
easier
digs
to
the
get
bottom
another person
of the
involved in
leaching
this?
field,
I don't
he comes
know.
out to inspect it, or if he's on vacation, I will.
It's-
Then it's inspected after
Yeah.
everything's in. You know, water tested,
I'll
D-box,
come over and inspect it every day.
tank, make sure it's level.
I'll come over and
And
inspect it every day.
that final inspection is the engineer, shoots all the grades, says everything's okay.
Okay,
That's why he's gotta tell the engineer, the shed is staying, we're moving everything over.
okay,
Because the
so
engineer will go, he didn't comply with the rule.
just,
yeah, he would.
just to confirm, this will be inspected, everything.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
coming
yeah.
out twice a day,
Okay,
okay?
just to give my mom.
No
peace of
system,
mind.
especially, I'll just say no system, but especially with septic loan program,
It's a lot
we're
of
in
money.
the
You see
town-
that, right,
no,
for an
the
elderly?
town-
Yes.
Yeah.
is putting this money.
Yeah.
Let's say, the bond language, to
Yeah.
get this from the state, Pollution Abatement Trust.
Correct.
You know, that was when I joined the Board of Health in nineteen
So we
ninety-five.
need to,
So we make
Yeah.
sure this is, it's a contract now, more than just a contract for you. It's a
I just-
contract for
I
I
think
know
my
you
mom.
live,
the town and
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah, I go right by your house every day.
we want to make sure
Right
that
on the line.
none of that
That's on Elm
stuff,
Street.
My uncle said.
you know,
Kim,
Okay, I'll tell her.
okay.
Sit down.
Wow.
we'll just.
Well, I'll come out twice a
So-
day.
Yep,
I'll come
if
out
it's
like-
not done, it's-
Okay, so we're gonna stay within the budget?
Yeah.
We're sure about that?
Unless you wanna buy something else.
No, no.
Maybe they
So-
just wanna
So-
know.
No, but
Can
I
I-
wanna,
can I get a-
I want a date,
Cindy.
when it's gonna be done though.
Can we get
I would say,
a guarantee, a
Today's
written
tomorrow's
something? Can we get something on
Wednesday.
paper saying?
So why don't we
it's done in a
say,
couple weeks?
next Friday?
Yeah, yeah, no, we're gonna-
Could we?
yeah, it should be the following Friday, I mean,
Okay.
give a little window.
is that 2 weeks?
All right, go to 2 weeks Wednesday.
Okay.
Alright.
2 weeks.
All right, I have one question. After that is done, what happens? What, does this mean in 2 weeks we get our sidewalk back? We get all the other stuff that has been ripped up and torn up? Now, that's another question I have, because it was torn up. Their equipment, his equipment sitting.
Well, sidewalk, if
It's
it
only-
wasn't put, it's like a
Title five, you
driveway,
have
if the
to have a
sidewalk or
lumen
driveway was not put in the plan.
And then the sidewalk will be put back in.
The sidewalk
drive-
is not included because that had nothing, we weren't supposed to take that out. It was.
Are you kidding? See, this
But
is
it broke
exactly
up.
what I need.
If I gotta put the sidewalk in, I will put it in, ma'am. I never met you, but I will put it in just for you.
All right.
Yeah, because my mother can't.
And I'm gonna only, it's only a pad, it's a
Yeah,
small
right.
area.
It's a small pad, so
Right,
it's
I'll
not,
put it in
That's
because I just
Yeah,
wanna
that's
get this over. I
okay,
gotta mix it. We can make some.
okay. So he will put
I'm
the
trying
pad
to
in
compromise.
for that portion of
And what
sidewalk.
about our yard that's torn up?
Well,
He's gonna
We have to
fix-
pay for that.
he's gonna landscape the yard,
Title V requires it to be
To be
landscaped,
correct.
loomed and
Okay.
seeded.
Right.
We hydro seed. by the way,
Right, so- hopefully
The trick is,
the hydro seed that he puts on in the loom
Communication has
will
been.
grow. Right now, you're on a water ban, so I don't know how that's gonna work.
Right.
Whatever.
Well, we, at least we
I
can
think
get
that's
it
the
going.
least of their worry about green grass. They
Okay.
just want-
Well, yeah, no, but if you
Yes.
loop
Well, I
the
want it
whole
to
thing
look
and
nice. I
hydro
mean,
seed it,
it's my name on it.
it
you
doesn't
know?
grow. I mean, use your hydro seed company doesn't come back.
Yeah, right,
I
right.
have to do
He
the
pays them.
neighbor's yard, by the way, because of the roots that, from your trees that went over there, so I had to make them happy as well as try and make you guys
Okay.
happy.
That should level it off though, right?
Well, so,
Yeah.
The way it is.
so
should bring it
next,
up,
so
yeah.
next Friday it will be done,
no, 2 weeks Wednesday.
Wednesday.
2 weeks Wednesday,
Yep.
so.
Kim,
can
is that
we-
right? 2 weeks Wednesday?
that.
And Bruce, you're gonna see.
I'll go
first,
twice a day,
So,
And can you keep us?
because I
updated
have to
on how
go right
it's
by
all-
it.
right.
On my way in and on my
So-
way home.
One of you makes the motion.
Go ahead, Mike.
Make the motion 2 weeks. You'll have this.
Yeah, you want to, what's the date on that Wednesday?
Oh, you need a date.
What's the date, Deborah?
Did you-
Tomorrow's the 10th, so be the 24th.
Okay, by the 24th of August.
And I should get the payment on the 25th.
Well, it takes a little time. for it to go
I'm
through the
just,
program.
I'm just, I'm joking. I'm joking.
You both have still come down, right? Son?
Yep.
Yeah, so-
So just, just to clarify as well, so what about the money my parents have paid?
Well, that's
They'll
gonna
get
be,
reimbursed
That will
when
be-
they cut the
whatever.
I
check.
just want to
that-
clarify.
Whatever's, whatever.
Like, in other words, if the check is for 32,000, whatever, been
Mhm.
drawn out, it
Mhm.
would be less than. The
Okay,
3 will be to you, not to him,
okay,
okay? And then
okay.
you are still responsible for the 32,000 on your loan,
yes,
but you got your 3 back
yeah,
that you
okay.
gave to him.
That's what I think
Whatever.
they were also.
Yeah. That's how
So
it
what,
works.
Laura, I should, I hope you're still
Um,
listening there. When we go to reconcile this, there'll be 2 checks drafted.
Yes, I am listening.
Okay,
So that, what happens is they paid 3 or 35
Yeah.
to Colonial via Mike, so that 3,500 will go back to them. And then the rest of the loan payment, the
This
last
is-
loan agreement will go to
includes that still?
to,
Or is that gonna be an additional?
No,
Marsh
that
and
should
Environmental.
be, should be outside.
Okay, I just
He
wanted to make
paid-
sure.
But they'll both be
I
in
had
front
gotten
of
the
you,
price
so it's
ahead
pretty
of
easy to
time,
do
but
it.
it was supposed to be included.
All right.
There was $100 difference. I paid it to Conan, so I don't know, but I can get, you, I mean, I can get a receipt.
I'm not worried about
I wasn't either. but-
Okay, well, we're sorry that this
Okay.
occurred. but,
Me too,
you
I
know,
mean, but, I didn't call you for every little detail. as
Well,
far as, you know.
Well, the other thing
After
too-
a year and 4 months, I would like to have something.
Well, put it this way, the other thing too is if things were not on your end, but were on his end, you should have called Bruce or the town and said, hey, listen, I'm on a program.
I think it's hard.
And I agree, you
It
were
is hard.
being
You're
nice
trying to give
and,
someone the benefit of the doubt.
right.
You're trying to work with.
Yeah,
them.
I'm trying to work with you. Why call the town? I'm trying to.
I know.
You know,
Yeah,
Putting
but
us through,
now
trying
they
to get
know.
it done.
I know.
Yeah, but
And
just
then it came to this.
Right,
No, I think you're missing it is when you got approved to the loan is like, that date hasn't been, this was all started ahead of time.
Yeah.
So when the loan got approved is a big difference.
Yeah.
And we don't start the
Until
system,
December.
and I told you that before, we weren't
Right.
starting. the
Can't
system.
start
Here's
it.
my
How
email,
long
so
was
you
it
can
approved in
send me
December?
emails with updates on that.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah.
This is-
What's that? It took some while to sort of.
Okay, so when we actually, you saw the contract with Mike.
Yeah.
And then when actually the loan was actually approved by this Board of Health was in December.
Yeah.
So we lost 2 months there.
Yeah.
I don't know where that happened. And then I'm sure Colonial, he hadn't been there before that, had he? Before December, or was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we did the first test. Yeah, we did all that ahead of
But
time.
then, I'm sure
We didn't
part of
wanna
the
start
problem with the
in the
loan being
winter.
approved was
You
he
know?
changed things. He said, oh, it's not going to driveway. The engineers get to rule a little bit
Yeah.
based on the health agent and the engineer saying, it doesn't look good here, soil's not good, or if you put it under a driveway, you gotta vent the system. I think now we made a law, a rule, everything's vented.
Everything's.
Okay, but in the old days, people stayed away from driveways, you have to vent the system.
Yeah.
Now we're
Keep
venting,
the
Well,
bugs
I mean,
happy.
oxygen going
Keep
in,
the bugs happy.
systems work better, the bugs work better.
Okay.
So, and then the shed, I mean, you're showing it there. And
That's-
you
everything
can't
I'm
work
saying is
under a
been
shed.
told.
you know,
That was
so,
all told to you when we did the
But,
test.
And then other things happen with his machine,
If
the
he-
dig safe
He
issue.
was
is-
there when it broke.
But the
Yeah,
dig
He
safe.
was there when it broke.
Yeah, you never came back.
Yeah, we did. We had to get it fixed.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
how long
Okay.
did it-
So we have to
Never
move
mind,
on,
never mind,
but,
Yeah, yeah.
you have my email, feel
Yeah.
free to reach out to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Um,
You put a lot of
We'll
coffee
have it
in
done
Yeah.
by the 24th.
I'm really happy.
Just as long
Thank
as
you.
it's done right.
I got, I live on Elm Street, so I mean.
My parents are-
Yeah, Laura.
I have a question, if you want to put in the record, if it is not done by the 24th, will there be repercussions? Or,
Do we have,
Hot-
do we have something in our regs already about, fines and, I know if you have problems with a certain company,
Right.
and I get it 2 times, 2 or 3,
Yeah,
and they can't do work in our town
correct,
anymore.
correct, yeah.
So,
I mean, it'd be suspension of license.
yeah,
I mean,
Let's hopefully don't have to.
Yeah. would you go for a fine first? or
that's
would
why,
you say,
I
hey,
mean, you're gonna say, oh,
I think I'm gonna, how much of a fine can we assess?
It could be $100, $200, $500, I don't know.
I'm gonna tell you how it
I think
goes.
once you get a certain amount, you have to have a hearing.
like,
Because we got 2 cement blocks.
Those are, one's a,
Both going in?
one's going.
Laura.
One's a spare. is that?
Yes.
She can hear you.
Laura, can you hear me?
Yes,
We're gonna impose, if it's not done by the date specified, there's gonna be a penalty of $500 a day.
okay. Thank you.
I get done early.
So
Do I get 600?
Alright,
So,
And I'll fix the sidewalk.
Sorry, so we have left.
okay,
all right.
so,
right, thanks, Ron.
it's that.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, let's do
Okay.
that.
Yeah, we already read them,
Already
so.
read 'em.
Okay. Nothing on there?
Motion to approve. the minutes.
Okay,
I second that.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same, so carried. Okay, that's done.
Um,
Look at that, hardly anything there. Employee calendar. Very soon, right down there.
So I'm good, I can go.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you wanna stay and
You
listen.
can
you're
say.
more than
All right.
welcome.
No,
Thank you.
good, thank you.
We're a blast over here.
Okay, that's it? Kim, okay?
I just.
All right.
keep you
I'll be in
posted.
Newton, but
Well, you
that's fine.
gotta, so you gotta let the chief.
I just
know
want to
that's
thank you
the
to
thing,
the
right?
board. I want to thank the board
Okay,
for
yeah,
understanding.
like I said,
And,
you know,
We're sorry that that
You
happened.
guys, yeah.
It's terrible.
I'm glad you
But-
guys got in on it.
right, and as I said to you, and I said to Cam, Michael, I said, listen. You will, I know the other contractors.
Yeah,
And I already talked to one of them. He says, well, you know, you never call me back. I said, well, that's.
Yeah.
The homeowner chose him probably because I looked at his thing, it was a little higher. I said, he took the lowest bid, you know, sometimes that doesn't work, but sometimes it does.
mm-hmm,
You know, because they all have to do the same routine, same inspections,
mm-hmm,
they have to do it the same way.
okay,
So I always say like, you know, if it's close.
Yeah.
Come back and say, you know, we really can't say, but if you ask Laura, you ask Bruce. Who's the best person we have? We'll say, well, we don't really have the best. We have someone
We
that,
can't do that,
No.
that's the thing.
yeah, right, you
So we
can't do
can't-
that.
That's not privy to us, so we don't know any of that. We
I
have
don't
to
know, but what I'm saying is, what we can say is, this guy,
And I
this
did.
local
they
guy,
didn't
he gets
have
most of
worth
the
my-
business. That's all we can say. We can't say he's better, because then we'll get sued,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
Yeah, we can't do
yeah,
that.
We can't
right,
do
right, right.
Well,
But
I understand
there
that.
is-
I mean,
No, but we'll get it.
from-
It'll get resolved now.
It'll
but
get
we
done.
do
It'll
have-
get done now.
Just so you guys know
Okay,
that we do have it
just
on
mute
record,
yourself.
so that if we have continuing issues with a
It's the
certain
same
company,
contract.
then we
We'll
will
suspend their
not
license.
allow them to do work in this town,
Okay,
so.
I just,
Yeah.
he would have communicated with us better. It would have made my heart and soul a lot better because the man was not truthful. I'm sorry. I mean.
okay,
Okay,
all
well,
right,
I
Mike,
mean,
have a
like
great
I said,
day.
we'll get this
like I said,
resolved.
we were playing,
Yeah.
mediator. This is like,
All
you
right,
know, it's a
Thank you.
contract is like a marriage.
Have a
Alright.
great night.
You have to
Thank you.
resolve it.
Keep us
Thank
updated,
you.
okay? Take care. All right,
No
so
no
we,
divorces by this point.
so we need to let the chief know, right?
Yeah.
The police.
I always,
and
I
fire.
called this back
Well, no,
every time. Oh, he's there.
he called me.
Yes,
Then
I
why
know.
would they
I don't know
call
why
me
that
looking
happened, but I
for-
called.
Right, what happened was he
They
called,
said, they tried calling you multiple times and you didn't
I
answer.
would told him I was gonna be out of town on
right,
region.
and they called my home phone twice.
But then they told Vinny
Then they
that
finally
they
figured out.
didn't know that you were away.
I called dispatch on Friday.
Didn't Chris say?
And
he
Chris.
needs
Chris
to know?
said, it took him a while to figure it out. Dispatch knew, but Chris, the fire department didn't know. They don't call everybody. The fire department didn't.
Well,
Then
if
Chris
you're
said,
trying to reach everybody on the board and you
correct,
can't.
well, then
reach
Chris called Mike. And Mike said, well, not a family thing, but I guess I can come down.
Trish called.
Trish called, okay, fine.
He said he called me?
Chris.
Oh, Chris.
Okay, so Trish called me.
Trish calls me.
So then what happened was is, I don't know.
I know how it all happened because I was
Chris
on the
Milo-
phone calling
No,
everybody.
yeah, but Chris Milo finally said, I have Vinny's cell from the LAPC stuff, and then, so he called the cell. And then I get the strange number that says Barnstable. I said, that's a toll, I got one of those cops.
So that was me.
No, there was a 774 number. So I saved it now. Chris, that's Chris's other, his cell.
Okay. So as long as you guys have it updated, you know what to do, then
So
I said what I had to
Bruce
say.
is,
So
on
Bruce
an
is
off
off
day
tomorrow.
tomorrow, so I'm covering for Bruce.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Laura's out next week. I am too, Laura. I'll be in
What is
Aruba.
tomorrow?
I'll be in Aruba, so don't call me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so
So,
September,
So,
we're having 2 meetings. Wait, are we still having a meeting in August though? Do we need to?
You need another,
well, let's
For
see
the
what,
23rd?
let's see what it looks like, I guess.
Yeah, let's play that one by ear on the
If there's
23rd.
not
'cause
much on
we
the
might not-
agenda, then.
This one
skip it.
doesn't have, I mean, didn't have a lot on it.
Well, yeah,
There's
it
a
had
lot of
some
excitement
issues,
going
yeah.
on, but.
Well,
And then
Cancel
do-
as needed, or
the 23rd
Yeah.
is, I would cancel, but if we need to do it, we can do it.
Okay.
It's
So
better
he's
to leave
on,
it
in
the
September,
schedule.
he's on
Yeah,
vacation this week,
yeah.
and you're good
He
with
usually
that?
does a September vacation, right? Usually do.
Yeah, but
Why
are you good? Are you?
Yeah, I'm good with that. I don't, let me just see that. Yeah, I'm not covering my birthday. Okay. Nah, I'm not going to.
you got Steve.
No, my birthday's the 21st. It's not that.
How old are you gonna be?
73. I'm 73 already, myself already. Yeah, we
Um,
round up in the age of biology.
All right, so this outdoor fuel storage, we haven't gotten anything. on
No,
that.
we haven't really been able to do it yet. I'm
We've been
pretty
kinda
sure,
busy with other
I
things.
I can't
contacted,
come on, I haven't been able to find a funding source.
well, here's the thing, I contacted one person who said, you'll never be able to stick it under the old revolving fund. Because he worked for the state and that was his baby.
No, but how come, what happened with this? I thought we were gonna try to use some of the
With-
septic money. Cause it used to be.
No, that used to be
Right,
under
it used to be a
de-letting
thing.
and it used to be boilers and stuff like that. They don't do that anymore. They won't do any of that, only the septic program. And they're trying to get rid of it. Once we're going, they're going. We're the only town that keeps pushing them, needling them. That's why the percent
Yeah, I
went
think there's like 3 towns.
up 3 times, yeah. But what happened was, why they raised the percent from 0 to 1 for the town? Because they're trying to, they probably couldn't by law go up to 2 or 3 or 5. But they raised it 1. I'll bet you next round, they're gonna try to raise it again. They're trying to fold that program because it's old. It's born in
Yeah, well,
1995.
it works
Actually, it
for
was born
people, though.
in the 80s for lead.
So it wasn't
Right,
mine.
so
Oil. So here's the thing,
So you
if
have
we could
bills
get
too.
like you said once, I think what Kelly said, if we could round up all the oil companies and see, they all pay a hazardous material fee, like you get your oil and gas, all that stuff. You pay a fee. If that fee is going into something for the 22E rule law, there's a 22E fund, like gas station. Why can't we see if we can squeeze houses, which an oil tank is a lot less than a filling station? And I don't know who pays that. It's probably the big oil companies pay that. But, the mom and pop gas station has a tank in front. When they find it, they go, oh, 21E rule. So they get state funding to cover that. It's not free. It's not a grant. It's a loan. So, now, I mean, homeowners can say to you, what are you crazy, the Board of Health? I'm not paying that much. Put in the ground and put double wall. Double walled would actually put Cape Cod and the coastal management people.
That's because of the watershed protection.
You cannot have any tank that's on a double wall.
All right, well,
Anyway,
so
so
we'll just keep it on
We
there.
should look at that, but again,
There's
it's a
gotta be
funding
something.
source, I don't know. Maybe oil companies would, they see they can make a buck. But we're gonna probably need 4,000 maybe each one, so we need someone to say, well, what's a $4,000 loan? We do it 30, it's different, the septic system.
It's $4,000 per tank?
Oh, yeah, that's probably.
Yeah.
Tanks are over 1,000 now, double wall,
Oh.
at 2,300.
Remember once it was $350?
Yeah, that's ancient history. That's when you
Getting old.
That's when you were a baby. I don't know,
I haven't had to
that-
buy one. And,
But,
um,
and then you have the permit for the fire department. Now, it used to be like 50, it's 100. And then you have the inspections by then. And then the installer is the bigger one. It's probably gonna be equal to the tank cost.
Very pretty. It gets
Anyway,
close to
let's
my
do the
bedtime.
bills.
Okay, bills. There you go. Yeah, we got another septic one. So just
This is just a approval
let
of
our Lauren on
application.
it and cover for you.
Yeah, or I have all my inspections done. I don't think anybody's gonna need anything tomorrow. Then I'll be back Thursday, Friday. I think that's probably when.
Robbie,
I
can you
got
just
like
check
3
this
septics in
address
progress,
for me,
but
please?
all I do is bottoms. So okay, then take-
Yeah, well, I don't know. It depends where
Yeah.
you're.
In the
Is
meantime,
it
I'll do
James?
this one.
James Street.
I had to put it in my
I'd like to make a
GPS.
motion that we approve 51.99 to Amazon or for Amazon. What's this new stamp? Did I put the date there?
Second on that? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion that we approve a bill for Amazon for 45.87,
4787?
47.
45.87?
Oh, did she get a type one on the agenda?
Yep, it's 45. Okay,
Okay.
45, okay. Got it. Second, okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye, opposed, abstained, so carried. Oh, my
First,
I don't know.
salmon.
6666.
I know, that's such a big number, isn't it?
So that's what it used to be. They
Yeah.
never raised their
No,
prices.
they didn't, that's what we're paying V and A.
That's so bizarre. Don't tell them. All right, I'd like to make a motion that we
And I was
pay
complaining.
salmon DNA $666.66.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
So
abstained, carried.
one is for July 1st.
July 1st.
And then the other one is for August 1st.
You guys see the report that
So we
Ann's
do
doing?
both, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty nice, pretty good job.
So the only thing we compromised on, they didn't want to do 10, they wanted to do 8. I said, well, need be, it's like the health agent or like somebody else. If you need to supply a few extra hours to keep the elderly or to run a flu clinic, I would do that, because it's a good stewardship. And I said, the Board of Health is nervous now because we haven't heard of a cost for this thing. And then when she said, I'll get back to you in a couple hours. She called me back a couple hours, I missed her. So next day, she told me that. I said, oh, that's really good. Send it in real quick. We'll approve it.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve $106 for the registry of deeds.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. What's this food inspection thing?
Oh, exclusion perk test. All right, I'd like to make a motion that we pay Cook's General Contracting $500 for perk test.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. The funny thing is, it says food inspection. Yeah. Why is that?
Good question.
Brian opening up a
No,
Was this
food
one good?
business?
I think it might have been a
Okay.
drafting.
Do you have yours?
Okay.
Was it Bill to Robbie?
I brought my copies because I was interested.
Oh, perfect.
I
All
whipped
right,
them
so I'd
several
like to make a
times, so make sure you bring
motion that we approve an application for 10 Andrew Street.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed,
Everything
abstained,
was
so
in order?
carried.
Everything looks good now.
Okay,
Bruce, I think I got them all.
okay.
Maybe.
You just resigned this, right?
Oh, this is both of
I
them?
think so, yeah. That was.
Yeah, you just signed.
Two separate ones.
Motion.
Motion, don't mix it up or Mary will be with me.
Yeah, I know.
Motion to approve Agent Griffin's food inspections for $13.95.
All right, and second that?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion
No,
to
that's right. That's right. No.
Here's the one. That's okay.
Did you get the other one?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. No, that
I'm gonna
it.
sign this one too. Go ahead.
Motion to approve Agent Griffin's tobacco compliance for $2,210.
All right, I second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried.
Just so that you guys are aware, after we did so we did a round of response checks, there's no sales.
Oh, good.
Specifically for this, so that was good.
Right.
And I did a pro bono. Facebook. So, did a couple that were either for extension or just currently not open, so.
Okay.
Once
What
those-
about the one that has the two stores, but only one, and that weird basket of goodies? Is that still open? or-
I'm not
You
sure.
just signed it, please.
Can we get a motion to close so I can stop recording?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, so
Good night,
carried.
Laura.
We're adjourned.
I gotta go to Sandy's.